Greetings and welcome back to Smartwatch Ticks, where we have an unboxing today. But before we begin, I want to let you know something. We have a brand new partner. You ever heard of them? GearVita. GearVita. Wow. Yeah. And there's a little story behind them. Inside both of these are Android watches. We are going to set this one aside and start with the LEMFO. Now, what is it? It's the LEMFO LEF2. Yep, the LEF2. An Android 5.1 watch. It's got 8 gigabytes of ROM and a 2 megapixel camera. It's got a 240 by 240 screen. Small, but energy efficient. All right. What else has it got in it? Let's take a look. We've got Android 5.1. We said that. There's our processor. 0.5 gigabyte of RAM. Not screaming. I usually like at least 1 gigabyte, but for an efficient watch, 0.5 gigabyte with 8 gigabytes total storage probably is going to work for us. Here's all of the specs on connectivity, including the 3G 850 2100 megahertz bands, so it should work in the US, China, Canada, maybe Australia, right, you guys down under? All of those are supported. A 460 milliamp hour battery with all of the energy efficiency built into it. So the idea is to squeeze out longer life from an Android watch. And we're going to see how we do in that category. So let's unbox the LEMFO LEF2. Here it is. It says, please make full charge before you use the smartwatch, which I have done. I wanted you to see the unboxing. Have not yet taken this off. It's been a pain trying to squirrel around on the screen with this on it, but I did. And it's got a really sweet TPU leatherish kind, or not leather, but rubberish kind of a band. You can see the cutouts for the antennas right here in the band itself. And definitely not removable. Nice backing on this. Look at this. LEMFO. There's the diodes for the heart rate monitor. It's kind of presses into the skin so you don't have too much light coming in. There's the charging connector. And look at the buttonology. A nice little red button camera and another button on the bottom. Here's the place you put the SIM card in. And yes, you can do calling directly from the watch and text messaging if you have a SIM card in it. No, it's not set up to support the Bluetooth calling. That's a feature that's coming on the more advanced watches. This is, again, a kind of an entry-level, longer life. That's what you're after with this one, Android watch. You want to be able to do the Android stuff, but squeeze out maybe 2 to 3 days worth of life before you have to recharge. So what else is here? A box. Inside the box, when we get down to it, we've got a couple of bags of goodies, and it looks like a manual and a card. Okay, let's look at the card. How to put in and take out the SIM card. Pretty straightforward, but they want to make sure you get the orientation right. You use the tweezers to pull the card out. It's not going to be one of those spring action things, and I guess they had enough experience in these kind of watches with people getting their SIM card stuck that they've included a screwdriver to take the little plate off and tiny little tweezers for extracting your SIM to put it back in your phone if you need to or whatever. Yeah, you can do that. You could take the SIM card from your phone, as long as it's compatible, put it in your watch when you want to go out for a jog, have access to your actual phone number and any contacts you have on your SIM card, and then pop it out of the watch and put it back in your phone. And these are the tools you could use to do that. And because it's sealed nicely like that and it's on the side, you should be able to get in and out of this without too much trouble. It's not like the ones that have it on the back side in a panel you have to take off. And this is a slot that you slide it into. Okay, here is the charging cord, and it's a unique design now, guys. So you want to be careful with this one. Don't break it. You might want to try to find an extra one. It's a really interesting and different design than what we see. Magnetic couple. with a large overlapping lip that attaches here and plugs into USB with a kind of a ribbon cable. It works for data transfer. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it, of course, works for charging as well. And how strong is it? Strong enough to hold the watch. So, good seal on that. Easily snaps right into place. Fits because of its contour. And no problem with this one at all, except it's a little awkward. So you might want to get an extra one if you can find it. Now we've got the manual for this in Chinese. Oh, okay, English starts in the middle, I guess. There's multiple languages in here. Let's find the English. Here we go, User's Manual for Smartwatch. Your first boot it talks about. And it does take a while to boot up the first time, and there was a firmware update available as well. So you're going to want to get yourself on Wi-Fi and head on over to the system area and check for updates and do a firmware update before you begin. Also, while we're paging through this, when you do an update to the firmware, it's always wise to do a factory restore afterwards. That will clear out a bunch of the other gunk that might be left in there from your previous firmware. And it's a good idea to clean it out. Yeah, you'll lose absolutely everything. You got to reinstall all your apps. You literally have to go back on Wi-Fi. It's just like you bought it brand new. But it's probably worth it in the long run to do that so that you have a clean installation when you do the firmware update. So good practice is fully charge your watch first, get yourself on Wi-Fi, go through and check to see if there's any updates. If there are, do the updates. After the updates, do a factory restore, wait for it to boot back up again, and then get back on Wi-Fi and begin the overall configuration of how you want to set your watch up. Okay, it's using the WII, the Y-Watch Tethering App, which is a common one for Android devices. And actually, when you boot up the first time, it talks all about that and encourages you to go ahead and set it up and get connected. And it even lets you choose whether you want to be on iPhone or Android, because it's different. So there's a choice in the settings for that as well. Okay, that is the manual, and that's the unboxing officially of the LEMFO LEF2. Let me tell you where we're going with this. In this review, starting now, it's like it came out of the box. Although, I've turned it on and kind of set it up a little bit, but I haven't installed any apps or done any configuration. This is going to be the unboxing and first look of the LEF2, which is pretty much the same thing as this one. Oh, hi there. I'm always getting myself in the picture. Wow, it looks like I got an eye cover, doesn't it? Whoa. This one, which we'll talk about in the next review, is going to be covered for the second part. So this is an unboxing and first look. This puppy, same inner configuration, same memory configuration, different case, is going to take it from the first look to the full review. Here's where we're going to do all of the Antutu tests and all the other kind of tests and run through this watch with all of that information, which will apply to this one. So you're looking really at the same watch, different cases, first look, full review. Let's clear everything out and begin now with a first look at the LEF2. Now, I'm going to start by pressing the button and turning the watch on because one of the very, very few differences is the startup screen. LEMFO puts their own startup logo. In fact, they put the logo of the watch that you own. If you've got another LEMFO or you've seen our other reviews, you'll see it'll say LEMFO and then the watch brand name number on it. Then it goes into this cool graphics start, and if you've got the sound activated from the pull-down menu that we'll show you quickly, which it should give you a little bit of a sound as it finishes booting up as well. The other one is different than this. Pretty quick in booting up. There was no sound, so I betcha I have it turned off. Yeah, I did. You see in silence. If I have it here, you'd have a little chime on the startup. While we're in here, you saw how I got there, right? I slid down on the screen, and these are all your layouts, sound or silence, your twist your wrist to see the time, airplane mode, cellular data on and off, location data on and off. All sorts of things you can use to save power. You've got the brightness set for low, medium, or high. There's your low. Whoops. And let's go back in here and let's try high. There's high, which is blooming the whole camera out. Okay, I touched Bluetooth instead. And there's mid. So we're going to leave it in the mid. That activates your Bluetooth. That activates your Wi-Fi. And don't turn them on if you don't need them. But if you do need them, it's good to have them, right? When you go over here, there's your wheel that shows you your power level, your date, time, and whether you have a SIM card in and whether you're tethered or not. That, and then your step count, pedometer stuff. This is going to be the same on both the watches we're reviewing from GearVita, so I'm showing it to you on the LEF2, but watch the other one because, or you can come back and watch this one because it's exactly the same. When you go to the left, you'll get notifications if you have any. When you go to the right, you're going to get your app drawer and then your music player. When you swipe up, you get into your weather screen. Now, this is different, folks. This is the first we've seen of this. My thumb is covering my location. You have the icon for weather, but look, you have centigrade and Fahrenheit representation. Both of them, finally, on the screen. Hopefully, this is the wave of the future for presentation of weather on these watches, because up until now, it's only been in centigrade. Really sad. That will refresh the weather. It'll go out and pull that data off the internet because this has not been tethered to a phone. You're not doing it through the Tethering app. It's literally coming in from the internet over Wi-Fi, and that's really cool. Okay. Now, from here, the app drawer and the watch faces. This is another place where they're different. I'm pressing and holding, and these are the LEMFO. You saw that, watch faces. Now, this one I think you're going to see is a characteristic on both of the watches we'll be looking at, but that first LEMFO screen is definitely unique for LEMFO. There's a few stock watch faces, which is why I'm not going to take a lot of time, but just page through them quickly for you so you can see the stock ones. Then, at the end, you'll see there's a little plus sign that you can tap, and when you do that, you can access their server, which will let you download additional watch faces. There's kind of a butterfly, but not flapping. And another one, kind of a dark one. And another one. These are all analog, you notice. We don't have digital watch faces here, which is interesting. You can, though, from here, download multiple watch faces. All the Christmas ones show up first. And some of them are digital. So if I wanted that one, for example, and there are others that are not thematic for the holidays, and I bring it up, and there we go. There's the current time on a Merry Christmas watch face. All of the watch faces in this plus sign are universal to this class of watch, so you'll find them all identical on the LEF2 as well as the other watch we'll be reviewing. I know, I haven't given you the name, have I? Keep you in suspense. But it's not. It's kind of a no-name thing. It's not a LEMFO or a Makibes or a number one or a Finau. So we'll see. Okay, so that's the overall watch faces. Can you put custom faces in this? You're going to have to watch the more advanced review because this is a first look. I'm not going to tell you yet. Here are the stock apps. And one thing I like about this is the layout. It's not linear. It's this nice scrolling thing so you can easily read what they say. And these are the ones that come with it. Phone, contacts, phone, and messaging have to do with the SIM card only. There's your settings. Then an internal browser, calendar, which is not the Google Calendar, just a little stock calendar, your clock for alarms, the camera access and gallery to look at the pictures, the music, which when you get in here is for onboard music that you scan and play any music you've put on the watch. Remember, you have 8 gigabytes of total storage, After you subtract away the operating system and firmware, you have about 5.5 to 6 gigabytes. Still, that's a lot of music. There's a sound recorder, your file manager, which shows you what you've got. 5.05 gigabytes out of a used 0.5 gigabyte of odds and ends that are on there. Your health section for the heart rate monitor and the pedometer, that's classic and standard. There's your weather, which is just like when you scrolled up. Here's a voice search. Then there's your Google Play Store you log into, have access to all of that. The Google Maps. Connect phone. Now this is where you scan that QR code, or you just go to the Google Play Store and download WII Watch. This is the introduction that they give you when you first boot up the watch. It's telling you download it and then open the app on your phone and then search for LEF2 and make the connection, and then you'll be tethered phone to watch for all of the other things like remote camera, music control for playing the music on your phone and finding your device. If you're on an iPhone, then you can switch to iOS, or you can choose Android. And whichever platform you're using, you need to switch to that so that it'll work properly. And that's all of the installed apps here. Okay, and what about settings? Well, settings are typical of what you see on all these Android watches. You have your volume settings here, and you can add vibration to it if you'd like to. You have overall display, where you can set your brightness level in increments as opposed to just those 3 levels, low, medium, and high, that you have from the swipe down. You can set your sleep timeout from as low as 15 seconds to as much as 30 minutes, and that's everything on display. The app list style matrix, that's 4x, or the list, which is what we've seen in the scrolling list. You have your connection for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. You can set it up as a Wi-Fi hotspot, and of course turn on airplane mode, location services with GPS, and you can restrict your apps running in the background to save power. Overall gesture, you twist your arm to see the time. Again, that's an icon we got from swiping down. And you can turn on and off pedometer. If you're not going to use that, why leave it running, right? So you can turn that off. In power savings now, you get this graph that's showing you what your likely battery life will be and the things that have been running and taking up most of the power. That's kind of nice. Language and inputs is where you see the supported languages. Again, we'll run quickly through those so you can see if your chosen or desired language is part of the grouping. It's about a medium list from the ones I've seen before. Not really an exhaustive list, but not just a couple of them either, so that's pretty cool. Keyboard, you can install your own keyboards, the Google automatic voice typing. By the way, with only 500 and or 0.5 gigabyte worth of memory, your OK Google detection and offline speech recognition may be hindered so that you're not able to speak and have your words translated to text offline. That's one of the drawbacks of having smaller memory in a watch. But if you're never going to use that, then it's okay to have less than 1 gigabyte of space, and maybe that'll actually have a better battery life in the long run. Automatic date and time, everything's the same here. You have 12 24-hour mode. You can reset, uninstall apps, and you're overall about the watch. Pay careful attention when you get down here. It's the LEF2, Android 5.1, and check out that kernel version. Going to look at that when we look at the other watch we'll be reviewing shortly, to let you see that I'm pretty sure it's the same, meaning it's exactly the same firmware in both watches. We've just about covered everything quickly in the LEMFO LEF2, other than the tethering application, which we've covered in other apps, so we're not going to go into detail on that. That is a first look at this watch. It's handsome, nicely made. How is it size-wise? About like this. It could really work for men or women. It's a little large, so It probably is good on an average to larger arm, but it could work on a smaller one. It's slightly smaller overall than the 400 by 400 screen, and it's fairly sharp with 240 by 240. It's definitely readable, and it's available from GearVita, our new partner, the LEMFO LEF2. Check the show notes down below. See the buying link for this, and if we can get you a price discount, we will definitely list it there for you. And please come back, because GearVita has sent us another watch, this one. And we want to review that for you next and take you way deeper into what can be done when you install your own clock scans and apps on this watch. You've been watching Smartwatch Ticks. Thanks for your subscription, your participation, your thumbs up. We really like it when you like us, because that helps us like you by giving you more reviews. And we will see you soon.